Today on Podcast Them Down, we're talking about Dream Theater and complaining, I bet. Welcome to Podcast Them Down. I'm Tim Regan from U.S. power metal band Burning Shadows, Fade to Black Metallica tribute, Dual-Violin folk metal band ISENMOR, and recently vacated Graves true zombie metal. Be sure to subscribe, like, or follow. And now, on with the show. So, Mike, I don't know if you know about this obscure band named Dream Theater.
I've heard something about them.
Or this obscure website called Reddit.
Oh,
But,
yeah. This is that like Dig?
oh, that's good. So
Wait. Is that like Friendster? Orchid? Is it? I'm done.
okay, all right. So there was a post. Here's a word I didn't think I'd be saying so early. Is there was a post by a user named Necropedophile who put up a meme called the Dream Theater Iceberg.
Okay.
So these iceberg memes are, something's just the tip of the iceberg. And it's a bunch of text like facts about Dream Theater, but then that's just the tip. And then there's 4 levels. And as you go down the iceberg, there's more and more obscure facts. Okay. So I went through it and, I'm looking at a lot of it and going, yeah, I know that. I saw a bunch of weird stuff that, I had to look up a whole bunch of these facts, and then some of them are just blatant lies. So I thought it'd be fun to go through them all.
All right. Sounds good.
Level 1. So we'll start at level 1, and level 1 is relatively well-known facts. So for some reason, the very first thing on there is music references and octavarium.
Oh God, I'm not. So I guess full disclosure is that
go for it.
I'm pretty good with scenes from a memory forward, and somewhat heretically not very good with anything prior to that. But I have a gap.
Well,
my gap is octavarium and systematic chaos.
Okay, well, let's
just go. Let's do it anyway. Yeah.
I feel like, we're going to, but I feel like, so this covers most of Dream Theater's history. I feel like Necropedophile, again, didn't think I'd be saying that word. Necropedophile is I feel like he's one of these Mike Portnoy cult people who refuses to listen to them after he left. Which, maybe that's not true, because when we get to the end, there's one that kind of contradicts that. But otherwise, this is like all stuff, including, it's just Mike Portnoy era. So Octavarium, it's a 20-minute song, I think. Yep. It's a long song. Mm-hmm. And it's, oddly, this is not one of the facts in there. It is very similar to Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, like at least at the beginning. And you can tell there's a lot of tributes in there and stuff like that. But there's a part of Octavarium, the third part, called Full Circle, which is Mike Portnoy's ode to his musical influences. And it's called a cento. So where the end of the phrase is the beginning of the next phrase. And what I should have done, Octavarium, how do you spell Octavarium? What I should have done is looked up some of the words.
Cento.
Yes. Looked up some of the words. So, so it's called a cento. And let me find... Oh, man. That's the problem with a long song. All right. So here's some of them. Sailing on the Seven, seize the day, Tripper Diem's ready. Jack the Ripper, Owens, Wilson, Phillips, and my supper's ready. So it sounds like gibberish, but it's Jack the Ripper, Ripper Owens,
Right.
Owens Wilson, Wilson Phillips, and then, so it's all linked together. And it makes sense when you hear the song. It doesn't make sense when I just read it. But, so this is supposed to be a not obscure fact. So the references in here, it references Pink Floyd's The Wall, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, which is an English electronic band, Carpe Diem, which is a Change of Seasons reference, the Beatles' Day Tripper, Morrissey, Tim Ripper Owens, Owen Wilson, Wilson Phillips, Genesis, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, David Lee Roth, Cheech and Chong, Mighty Mouse, Spock's Beard, Nightmare Cinema, which we'll come back to, Genesis again, so I guess he likes Genesis a lot, Styx, the Beatles again, and Pink Floyd again, Peter Blegvad, who's an American singer-songwriter.
Okay.
I didn't catch that one. Handle with Care by the Traveling Wilburys, which is a supergroup including, somehow I've never heard of this supergroup, but it has Bob Dylan, George Harrison, Roy Orbison, and Tom Petty in it.
Jesus.
The Gong Show, Yes, The Doors, The Ramones, Neil Young, The Who, and Pink Floyd once again. So.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so it's all in like a verse. So that's pretty cool. All right, so the next fact is the Metropolis Part 1 and Part 2 connections. This one's obvious.
Okay.
So Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory, is a sequel for Metropolis Part 1 on Images and Words. There's a lot of musical themes that are recycled.
Right.
So from the original song. So, that one's obvious. The next one is, what is the original name of the band?
Oh, fuck.
Do you know?
I'm close.
Yeah, you are.
Majesty? Is it just Majesty?
Majesty.
Okay.
Yes, I need a ding, 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 ding. I got to add, how about, that'll do.
Okay. All right. At least I got trivia question 1 correct.
That's right.
I can't get more.
Oh, it gets so weird. Don't worry. Mm-hmm. So Majesty was Dream Theater's original name. They stopped using it when a Las Vegas jazz ensemble sent them a cease and desist. So they decided not to fight it and just change their name. Do you know about the Majesty symbol?
Yeah, it's like it looks like a circle with an X and an M in it, and
so what it is a phi, a mu, and a lambda on top of each other. It was inspired by the Mary Queen of Scots mark and reworked into the Majesty symbol by
Portnoy?
No, Charlie Dominici. Got fired right after this.
Well, whoops.
Wah, wah. And he has a tattoo of it.
Oh, that poor bastard.
So I was a little surprised. This one looked kind of obvious to me. I'm surprised it wasn't included in this whole Iceberg thing. Yitzy Jam, the song off the first album, is Majesty backwards.
Oh. Huh. I never noticed that. All right. So you're probably going to... okay. Well, maybe it's not obvious. Let's put that on a different level. All right. So the next one. Do you know what the 12-step suite is? Yeah, it's the whole the glass prison, his AA journey in musical form.
That's right. So it's on. You're missing 4 of the steps, because if you don't have Octavarium and Systematic Chaos, it's.
Oh yeah.
That's where 2 of the songs are. So it is The Glass Prison of 6 Degrees, This Dying Soul from Train of Thought, The Root of All Evil on Octavarium, Repentance on Systematic Chaos, and The Shattered Fortress on Black Clouds and Silver Linings. And then The Mirror on Awake is kind of like a prelude to all this.
Oh, that I didn't know.
Yeah, so it was written before you decided to do this. So if you listen to the 12-step suite all the way through, if it was its own album, I think it would be the worst album. There are parts I really like, and all of those parts are in the Shattered Fortress. So I like the Shattered Fortress.
Well, I really liked the Glass Prison. Like, but that was when I started listening to Dream Theater. 6 Degrees was the current album that was out. So I listened to the Glass Prison a lot, but I didn't really, and especially because I missed 2 albums, and I've tried to get into them and it just hasn't worked for me for whatever reason. But that the 12-step suite hasn't outlasted its welcome as much for me as I think it has for you.
Well, I don't like the Glass Prison. I don't like most of This Dying Soul. Repentance is just kind of meh to me. You know, these are all my opinions. Feel free to disagree. And if you disagree, write me a nasty email and then we'll do a follow-up. And the email address is podcastthemdown@gmail.com. So
I will say of just a slight tangent of 6 Degrees, if you dropped the first disc, I'd still be okay with that album.
I think I was saving this for later, but I agree. I like Disappear. That's the last track of the first disc. But if it was just the second disc, I'd be happy. It's the first disc that I can't listen to.
It has some high. It has some high highs and low lows.
Gotcha.
Maybe more low lows than high highs.
So the 12-step suite was dedicated to Bill W. and his friends. Do you know who that is?
I don't.
The founder of AA.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
And Bill W. is, you can look up his name, so he's not really anonymous at all. All right, the next so-called fact is Rush Inspirations. Okay. Really? Dream Theater? Are you sure?
Who would have known?
All right, so I added one at this level. What are the 6 degrees of inner turbulence?
Oh, geez. Like the songs or the mental states they represent?
The mental states in the song.
I could do.
I looked them up. Yeah. I have them here. I did all my research, so it sounds like I'm Dream Theater ultra fan, but I'm not. I have a document in front of me that I researched everything. So this is all like quiz time for Mike.
All right. There's bipolar.
Yes.
There's postpartum depression.
Yes.
There's PTSD.
Yes.
There's autism.
You're halfway there. Yep. Keep going.
And that is autism is solitary shell. So I'm trying to remember. Okay, the first one is bipolar. What is the second? Okay, fuck. I got 4 of them.
I can look up the track list if that would help you.
Every day.
All right, the track list.
Like dissociative disorder.
You know what? I'm going to accept that.
Okay.
But that is not listed on here.
I'm thinking of the last song. She dresses in black every day. I don't think.
Yeah. So what's a less specific name for that?
A multiple personality disorder. Just like depression.
Yeah, depression. That's what the Wikipedia article said. Oh, this is off the fandom.com wiki, not the main wiki. So the one you're missing is schizophrenia.
Okay.
But I'm sorry. You did not win the grand prize. I'm sorry.
I did okay. The postpartum is the one I think is harder to.
I'm really impressed. I wouldn't have figured half those out.
I have looked this up in the past because I was curious what exactly they were describing, because a few of them are obvious, but solitary shell I don't think is as obvious because I don't. I guess when I don't necessarily think about just like writing a ton, because it sounds like this person is super creative. And then when I write, it's like, okay, I guess it makes sense now that I'm reading the lyrics and like their ideas for it. But it was like, I'm not quite sure what they're discussing, but.
Well, my favorite part of 6 Degrees is James LeBrie's doctor voice. Why don't we try shock treatment?
I don't think I realized that was LeBrie. It was sounding so
You really could use some help. I love that part.
Yeah.
All right, so that is the end of level 1. So now we're getting into level 2, which is somewhat obscure. All right, so this is more obscure. Scenes from a Memory is based on Dead Again, the film.
Oh, God. I have no idea what that film is.
Me neither. I looked it up. So from IMDb, it's a 1991 film starring Kenneth Branagh and Emma Thompson. And the
Kenneth
synopsis.
Branagh, okay.
Yeah. So the synopsis
I do
is
know
a woman who has lost her memory is taken in by a Los Angeles orphanage, and a private eye is enlisted to track down her identity, but he soon finds that he might have a past life connection to her that endangers their lives.
Okay. Interesting.
So there was no this whole Iceberg thing didn't have sources. So I don't know if that is just a coincidence or if anyone at any point ever said, "Oh, we were watching Dead Again and thought it would make a good story for Scenes from a Memory." But so,
All right.
yeah, that's how I feel. All right. So now, this is the first like prog nerd complaint fact. So let's see if I said the word shrimp to you. What does that mean anything to you?
Nah, not a clue.
All right. This is where all the prog nerds say James LeBrie ruined his voice, and he's never been good since 1994.
Because he got food poisoning.
All right. So,
Okay, I do know that.
Yeah, this is from the fandom.com wiki. Sometime in 1994, shortly after the recording of Awake, while vacationing in Cuba, because he's Canadian, so he can go to Cuba all at once.
That's right.
LeBrie caught food poisoning from some bad shellfish. The constant vomiting causing him to rupture his vocal cords. LeBrie sought out many vocal coaches, doctors, and experts who all said there was nothing that could be done other than to rest his voice as much as possible for at least a year. However, LeBrie went against these wishes to tour with Dream Theater, further damaging his voice, leading to a live career that is notably spotty. LeBrie claimed his voice did not feel normal until 1997, though he injured his voice again in 2000, almost completely destroying it. So, no further details on this 2000 thing.
Yeah.
I assume touring again? So,
I saw him close to there, and I mean, I don't know. Maybe my memory is off, but I don't remember him sounding like alarmingly different.
So it keeps going. It was at this point that he fell into depression and suffered some weight gain, and his performances suffered, with inconsistencies in both his vocal performance and frontman abilities, leading Portnoy and Petrucci to consider replacing him. After a wake-up call confrontation, LeBrie focused his energy on improvement, seeking out a new vocal coach and starting a regimen of diet and exercise, which improved both his physique and his vocal abilities. However, as the years have passed, people have started to take notice that James LeBrie's voice is growing significantly weaker and cannot hit many of the high notes that he used to be able to, and having a more nasal tone to his voice. This has led to the band lowering the tunings of some of the songs when playing live on their 2017 tour, such as the entire Images and Words album except for Wait for Sleep, and A Change of Seasons, to name a few. A lot of people have attributed this to the vocal growl he used on the Awake album and tour in 1993, rather than the aforementioned food poisoning incident. And it makes sense. Studies have shown that LeBrie's technique Labrie technique is only helpful for the lowest parts of a person's vocal range. Any higher than that, and the person runs a very high risk of doing serious permanent damage to their voice. He has been terrible since 1994, apparently. This is on a Wikipedia. It's supposed to sound like I'm sorry, it's on the fan one, but it's supposed to sound official, and it says, and it makes sense. You can just hear this in the prog nerd voice.
Yeah. So, I mean, think about like with the astonishing too. It's like one of the common, like, when reading reviews for it, one of the common things was like, "Wow, Labrie is really on his game." It's like, so, and that was like, what was that, like 3-4 years ago, somewhere there?
Oh no! He has ruined his voice, Mike. Were you listening?
Yeah, that's a bizarre critique.
This is the thing everyone complains the most about Dream Theater. Oh, Labrie is terrible, and I don't buy it. He has off nights. Everyone has off nights. He's a singer. He's trying to do ridiculous stuff, and Metallica tuned down in the 90s, and no one complained about that.
I mean, every time I started seeing Dream Theater in like 2000-ish, somewhere in there, or maybe it was maybe it was the late 90s. No. It was a 6 Degrees tour, so it must have been a few years after that. So maybe 2002, 2003. But I have never personally seen him have an off night. He always sounded good to me. Yeah, so one of the last couple times I saw him, he kept apologizing. He's like, "Oh, it's just dry" or something like that. I was like, "It sounds fine. What's he talking about?" Sounds great.
Yeah. Also, he's getting old,
Yeah.
So, okay. So here's a question: What would be worse, him trying to do the high notes and failing, or playing it safe and not doing the high notes?
I think failing would be worse.
So, Judas Priest, not Ripper. What the hell am I talking about? Judas Priest, Rob Halford still tries to do Painkiller, and it doesn't sound very good, but yeah, I do respect him for trying.
So,
but still, I'd rather just maybe don't do Painkiller live,
Yeah, or pitch it down, I guess. But so the band Angra, their original singer Andre Matos, who sadly I'm still bummed over the fact that he died recently. But he just naturally has a very high voice. He just does. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe he had any vocal training or anything like that. But so Angra went through 2 singer changes over time. One of them was Eduardo Falaschi, who was awesome, and then the other one was in the most recent one, who's still their singer, is Fabio Leone. So I saw them at Prague Power playing Holy Land live, which was fronted by Andre Matos again. So like Fabio, love him or hate him, is a phenomenal singer. Like he's very, very good. Is he opera? Is he like classically trained or opera trained?
He sounds like he's pretending to be if he's not.
From what he did at the show, if he's not classically opera trained, I would be very surprised. But even he cannot hit the notes in Holy Land that Andre used to hit. And it's like, I know Fabio has a fantastic range. So, but there were just times when it's like, I know you're at the top. You're just, or maybe a little bit past it. You're trying, but it's, some people just can't hit these notes, even if they're phenomenal singers. So,
yeah, I have nothing but respect and love for James Labrie. So,
yeah, I love James. He has a unique voice, but that's okay with me. I think he sounds good.
And cue the flood of people going, here's a live video where it didn't sound good. It's like, okay,
like, sure.
I'm sure there's a ton of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is how gigging is, man.
Yeah. How many videos of them are there of him singing well? Probably a lot more.
Right.
All right. Next, Nightmare Cinema.
Okay, I know this term.
Okay, so this was masterminded by Derek Sherinian, the keyboardist.
Okay. Yep.
So they only did this from 1997 to 1999. So for encores, they would come out and switch instruments.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing that every dumb cover band does. You know, the guitarist wants to play drums, so the drummer has to go play bass or something. You know, they all swap. So they all had alternate names. So James Labrie was Abdul Matahari, and he was still the vocalist.
Yeah.
All right. Then Derek Sherinian as Nicky Lemons played guitar. Mike Portnoy as Max Del Fuvio played bass. John Myung as Juice Maloose, best name.
Juice
he played Juice Maloose. He played keyboards, and then John Petrucci as Johnny James played drums. So I have I'll link a video to this. If you go to podcastthemdown.steelresolve.com, there'll be a post, and I'll have the video for this. They're playing, but like, John Petrucci is kind of a wacky looking drummer because his like hand is swinging so much, hitting the cymbals. And yeah, so Metallica did something similar on the Justice tour, and I think on the Black Album tour, they'd swap and play Am I Evil? And exactly as you'd expect, James on drum. Well, actually, maybe it's not exactly as you'd expect. Is James Hetfield on drums, and he's a better drummer than John Petrucci. There, I said it.
I can't believe that one of the greatest guitarists isn't as good of a drummer as the Metallica guitarist.
And then Jason would play guitar, Kirk would play bass, and Lars would sing. And shocking, Lars isn't a good singer.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
You know, they're just goofing around. You know.
Yeah, it's fine.
So Derek Sherinian had a solo project called Black Utopia. He named a song after Nightmare Cinema. I missed something here. They would play Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple, and at least once they did Suicide Solution by Ozzy.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that song.
Me too. So here's one I added. Did you know Jordan Rudess plays guitar as well? And not only does he play, he's amazing.
I didn't know he was amazing. I got the impression that he played guitar only because I saw a promo image for maybe his solo stuff where he's holding a guitar. And that's the only inclination I ever had towards that.
So when Liquid Tension Experiment was touring, they did a show in Chicago, and the keyboards weren't working. And so instead of canceling the show, they couldn't get any of the keyboards working for, I don't know all the details, but he came out and played guitar with Petrucci instead, and I think they just improvised. But that is on YouTube, so if you look up Liquid Tension Experiment live in Chicago,
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
All right. I didn't know this one. I like this. Metropolis Part 1 wasn't supposed to have a sequel.
I did know this, actually.
I didn't. This was new to me. So it says, the Part 1 in the title was originally added by Petrucci as a joke, as no sequel was ever intended. However, as fans' demands began to increase and the popularity of the song eventually led to a second song being written, and you probably know this as well, the second song was originally a 20-minute epic, originally intended to be on Falling Into Infinity. However, it was cut from the album at an early state before the song was completed.
I actually did not know that one. So can I go on a brief tangent about this sort of thing?
Yes.
So it's not really musically related, but I find it interesting. So there's an event in Maryland called the Small Press Expo, and
Is it a big event?
It's medium. So Medium Press Expo, really. No, but I read a lot of, or I used to read a lot of webcomics, and there was a panel that they were having on like webcomics that used world building. And one of the things I found, I asked a question about, like mistakes that they had to deal with, that they just had, now they have to live with because they built it and now it's like they made this assertion and they can't get away from it. Which I thought was interesting, but that's kind of an aside. The thing I wanted to relate here though is that I think they were asked a question or brought up stuff that they mentioned in passing in their comics for which they had no real plan, and then getting bit by it later. And I remember one author, she was saying that she made mention of like some war or some event, and it was just supposed to be like a side comment. Like it wasn't really supposed to be anything that she ever intended in explaining. And then eventually fans were like, "So what is that thing?" And she was like, "Oh shit, I have no idea what it is. I have to figure it out." Which it sounds like this is Metropolis Part 2 is basically that entire concept. It's like, crap. I guess we have to come up with Part 2 now.
So, Truth and Legend by Burning Shadows, the song, what's originally Truth and Legend Part 1. But then we decided to drop the Part 1 because we didn't know if we'd want to write a Part 2. So
right.
We'll find out if it ever sees the light of day, but there is a Part 2 being worked on. But it's a good thing. I'm still glad we didn't put Part 1 on the end.
So, you're not obligated.
Exactly. All right. The next one. Mike, Eat My Ass and Balls.
I don't think that's a good idea.
It's not. So apparently live, they replaced a bunch of lyrics with "Eat my ass and balls."
Really?
Yes. So in what's that song? It's on Scenes from Memory. It goes, "Without love, without truth, there can be no turning back." Well, for a while they were changing it to "Without love, without truth, you can eat my ass and balls."
That's so strange.
And then one time they were performing "As I Am," and I'll link this on the post as well. They did "As I Am," and then they all stop, and Mike and James at the same time, "You can eat my ass and balls," instead of "Take me as I am." And like, it looks to me like James LaBrie does not want to be saying this. He's like, Mike. So I'm willing to bet it was Portnoy's idea, but apparently they peppered this phrase in all over the place. So, and I read somewhere that Live Scenes in New York has it. I never noticed it.
There's so in the Strapping a Lad live album, they have a song called "Oh My Fucking God," and he takes a break in the middle of it. And this is not in the studio version to say, "Get down here and suck my buddy's cock." And when I was discovering Strapping a Lad, the live version was the song that was everywhere on the internet in like the late 90s on mp3.com or wherever I heard it from. And I heard the studio version. I was like expecting "Get down here and suck my buddy's cock," and it just never materialized. So it was a weird thing. It's just a weird thing to like, no. Okay. That's probably for the best, really.
All right. So the next thing on there is Steve Stone. So I didn't know who this was. He was the singer between Charlie Dominici, who sung on "When Dream and Day Unite," and James LaBrie. And
was Stone ever on an album?
No, he was fired. So this is great. Not wanting Stone to be dull on stage as he felt their previous singer Charlie Dominici was, Mike Portnoy gave Steve Stone a concert tape of Iron Maiden to inspire him. The live result was disastrous. After playing After playing 3 songs instrumentally, Portnoy announced Stone as their new singer, and he attempted to sing the remaining 3 songs on the set list. Stone heard his voice early on and croaked through the rest of the show. Furthermore, he embarrassed the band with his onstage antics, seemingly doing a bad impression of Bruce Dickinson, cavorting around the stage in an over-the-top manner. Stone also infamously shouted, "Scream for me, Long Beach," at several points, embarrassing the band further as they were not in Long Beach, but rather Bayshore. To add insult to injury, Stone proclaimed that this was the new Dream Theater. He was fired shortly after the show, though Stone claimed it was mutual and already had a plane ticket back home and asked Portnoy to drive him to the airport, which angered Portnoy.
God. I didn't know about this. Jesus.
No, I had never heard that story.
Well, like, I almost want to feel pity. It's like he was sort of told to do it, but maybe not. It's like I expected you to have some sense of when to stop.
Right, he took it too literally.
Right.
All right, so the next one. Octavarium, concept and meaning. So clearly after this, you're going to have to go out and listen to Octavarium, at least the song.
Yeah.
So the concept is that the songs on Octavarium follow the chromatic scale. There are 8 natural notes and 5 accidentals, and it goes from F to F. Okay? So the root of all evil is in F. The sounds, the transitions between songs are all the accidentals. So root of all evil in F. These sounds before Answer Live Within are F sharp. Answer Live Within is G. The transitions in G sharp. These walls is in A. The transitions in A sharp. I Walk Beside You is in B. Panic Attack is in C, because there's no accidental between B and C. The synth solo at the end is in C sharp. And then Never Enough is in D. The voices at the end of Never Enough are in D sharp. Sacrifice Sons in E. And then Octavarium, the song, is in F.
That's cute. Sure.
Yes. So, you know, sometimes I think it's easier to write in a box, you know, like you put these constraints on yourself. So maybe it was easier to write this way. I think it's a neat concept.
Yeah. It's cool. I don't find it extraordinarily compelling, but I don't hate it. It's fine.
So there are also 5s and 8s throughout the artwork because it was their 8th album, and there's 5 Dream Theater members, and there's like stop signs which have 8 sides, and then there's one of those Newton's cradle things, and it has 5 balls. So,
harkening back to the earlier fact.
Yep. So I like that.
Yeah.
The next one, this was not in the original meme, but this was added by a user by the name of John Princeton. So I wonder what his real name is. Cleaning Out the Closet. It is the fourth fan club DVD CD. Oh man. It's
You're dating yourself.
It's getting late. All right. Cleaning Out the Closet is the 4th fan club CD released by Dream Theater, which was released in 1999. So it's a bunch of rare tracks and B-sides.
Right.
It is the earliest footage of Jordan Rudess as a member of Dream Theater as part of a CD-ROM extra.
Nice.
So on here are some of the songs on the track list are 2 different versions of To Live Forever, Raise the Knife, which they played at Score, I believe. There's an instrumental called Eve. There's some other stuff.
Right.
It's like, all right. So the next one is Canadian Rap.
Okay.
This is so I do have a link to this. Canadian Rap is an improvised jam session between Mike Portnoy and James Labrie that was included as the last part of, what did they say, on the Scenes from a World Tour fan club CD. The listener can clearly hear at the beginning that Labrie did not want to perform this, but Portnoy started drumming before he could complain more.
God.
So it's James Labrie rapping, and the timing sounds exactly right because they're on the scenes from a memory tour. So that was 2000-ish.
Yeah, that's... Okay.
All right. 2 more added by this guy, Chris Cintron. Auditioned after Charlie Dominici left and was going to be the new singer until James Labrie happened. And then John Hendricks is another guy who auditioned. I don't know. These are just boring facts now.
Right.
All right. The next one. Dream Theater covered Winter by Tori Amos. All right.
Okay, yeah.
Good for them. Who cares? Then I added a couple. The owner of Bear Track Studio played sax on Another Day. I thought that was that was neat. Like, did he pressure them?
What?
It's like, so what you boys need is a sax solo.
He just stumbles in every day drunk with a sax. You need me today? Today's the day, man. I got it. I got it. I swear. No, what is I think Rocky Raccoon by the Beatles. Was it the producer that did like the honky tonk sounding piano? I think he did. But yeah, I guess that just happens.
I'm sure there were times in the Beatles' history you could do whatever you wanted because they wouldn't be at the studio at the same time as anyone else.
So Rocky Raccoon is weird in general because apparently they didn't really have it written before they got to the studio. They were just like, hey, we'll figure it out. We'll make it work somehow.
And so the last one on level 2 is To Live Forever was cut from Images and Words, even though it was on the demo that got them their record contract.
Oh, wow.
So the other 2 songs were Metropolis and Take the Time. So I wonder
why they cut that.
Yeah, and why there's a couple versions of it. They played it. I mean, they've played it live, but I don't think it ever really made it onto a CD.
So it's not on any studio album at all?
I don't think so.
Jeez. That's weird.
All right, so we're going to end it here for this episode. So tune in next time for levels 3 and 4. So thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to Podcast Them Down. You can find Burning Shadows, ISENMOR, and Recently Vacated Graves on Bandcamp, as well as Facebook, along with Fade to Black Metallica Tribute and Podcast Them Down itself. Until next time, keep it metal.